Hello, and welcome to the Priorities Now podcast series. I'm Phil Soper, your moderator, and here to help us explore why organizations are considering as-a-service IT consumption models more than ever, especially in today's environment, are our guests. Please welcome Curtis Dery, Vice President, Sales and Strategy at Powerland, and Mike Hilton, Vice President and General Manager of Hybrid IT for HPE Canada. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Phil.
So, Mike, the first question I'll give to you. Consumption is a big buzzword right now. Let's start by defining terms. What does consumption and as a service mean to you?
Well, Phil, I think that's the number one question that we want to get out in front of with customers. And it really is about aligning customer demand with what they're paying for. It's this idea of you pay for what you use. And that's really what as a service is all about. The second thing is it's really about bringing the cloud experience. The reason people went to hyperscale cloud is they wanted this as a service model. They wanted to pay for what they use. And we want to bring that capability on premise. And it eliminates this traditional stair-step procurement model where you kind of anticipate what it is you're going to need over the next 3 or 4 years and make that big purchase now. And then you live with a whole bunch of unused capacity for could be as long as 3 or 4 years before you actually use it all. And so as a result, you've got this excess capacity sitting in your data centers that you've got to manage, you got to maintain it, you got to power it, you got to cool it, you got to have people supporting it. And it's not actually delivering any value to the organization. And so by aligning actual need to actual use and then only paying for what you use, it has a very profound impact on how you operate your IT environment.
Interesting. Okay, so Curtis, why is it so important that we're talking about consumption models today?
Well, Phil, I think it's important for many reasons. One, I think with the impact of change that just hit us with COVID, it forced everyone to think outside their normal ways of business as usual and get uncomfortable with the new flexible, agile way. And with that comes a consumption model. I think with the feedback and the voice of the customers and seeing and hearing what the benefits would be of having a flexible and agile workforce, they wanted to be able to look at predictable pay-per-use models that can help them manage their cash flow. So then it reduces risks, gives them predictability, and able to scale up with the market when the time is needed.
No doubt cash is king. Mike, let's change gears. How does HPE GreenLake align with today's market needs right now more than ever?
Well, I think that's a great segue question from what we just talked about with Curtis. And it really is about this concept of flexibility. Traditionally, these procurements that we went through with our customers and as organizations had a very long stretch to them, and they were very project oriented. So we would define a project and then we'd go through the process of speccing the hardware for that project. And that really eliminated any flexibility. It eliminated flexibility at the front end in terms of the definition of what you needed to acquire. And it also eliminated flexibility later on when we needed to repurpose or retool. And so by number one, eliminating these long procurement cycles, we can respond more quickly to either cost reduction, because again, we're only paying for what we use, or we can respond to market opportunity, that concept of opportunity cost. So that's the big one. And then the other thing is by having a more flexible environment, we eliminate this traditional trend in IT of technical debt. This idea that, well, I bought that infrastructure and I've kind of got to live with it, as opposed to being able to modify it and adjust what I'm consuming when I'm consuming. We eliminate a lot of that technical debt that exists in the organization. And that goes back to what we were talking about with Curtis, which is we want to provide increased flexibility and agility to the organization, and we want to manage cash. And as you stated, cash is king. And so anything we can do to help address that and improve the efficiency of the organization, that's where we want to go.
Now, the next question I'm going to pose to both of you, and Mike, maybe we can start with you. What makes GreenLake unique in the market? And specifically, how is HPE GreenLake different than some of the other consumption offerings that are out there now?
We get asked that question a lot. And I think the number one issue is we have to think about GreenLake as a new way of operating IT, not as a new way of buying IT. And so GreenLake is really, first and foremost, it's not a financing arrangement. It's really about helping define services that, again, people can consume and only pay for what they use. And then more importantly, what really differentiates GreenLake from other offerings that might exist is the concept of how we've implemented metering. Metering similar to how you have metering in hyperscale cloud and the ability to tag that metering to specific projects and really allocate the costs to the end users in the organization. And so we provide this incredible transparency to the consumption. So not only now are you only paying for what you use, but you can directly tag and allocate what you're using to the appropriate end user. That's a very unique way that we are allowing the delivery of these services to our customers.
Curtis, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll definitely echo some of the statements that Mike just made. I think everyone's realized that the new era is the era of disruption, both good and bad disruption, right? The bad disruption being a pandemic hitting us and having to factor in the change and impacts associated with that, but also some of the good impacts of how fast technology and just unique companies are coming to the market to disrupt industries, right? And I think in that era, we have to, realize that the future belongs to the fastest, those that can scale, get the market and lead in their industry the fastest. And I think with companies that adopt the GreenLake strategy, they'll be able to successfully speed up, scale up, and provide predictability back to the business. And this is the right time for it. With all this disruption happening, I think GreenLake is coming into a full stride to be able to have customers adopt it and take advantage of what GreenLake can bring to them. And I think with applications and data living everywhere in the cloud and in the data center and on the edge, now more than ever, our organizations want to be able to have a centralized platform that can take that data, wrap around controls, wrap around, again, that predictability and security with those controls to be able to get the output that they need and get the time to the market. And at the end of the day, provide a true hybrid cloud solution that is going to be leveraged both on-prem and in the cloud today.
So Curtis, I understand there's something very special about the HPE Powerland relationship. How do you work together, and what is the payoff for your customers?
We definitely appreciate and enjoy the relationship that we have with HPE. Both of our companies have been around for over 30 years for Powerland, and obviously way more from HPE's perspective. And for us, we always had to keep evolving within inside our industries, because when we think back 30 years of where tech has gone, exponentially changes have impacted everybody, and we have to evolve with that to bring that value to our customers. And foundationally, I think that commitment comes through ongoing communication, and with that communication comes a strategy, and that's helped us kind of lead to the first GreenLake sale in Canada, is being able to adopt and understand where you guys are going, what's important to your business, but be able to articulate that value back to our customers and understand why you guys are going in this direction and how it's going to help our customers get better outcomes for what they need and how fast they can get to the market with their business. And we always say people buy from people, and we feel, we bring the best people to the market, and we augment that by some of the leading technologies in the world with HPE. And I think that's the uniqueness that our joint partnership has together.
Yeah, the true benefits of partnership. Thanks, Curtis. Thanks both to Curtis and Mike. That was a great summary. So for listeners who want to learn more, drop your information into the landing page where this podcast is hosted, or send a quick note to HPE GreenLake at powerland.ca. That's HPE GreenLake at powerland.ca, and Curtis will get right back to you. Thank you.